Brian and I met in July of 2013. He was a complete outdoorsman while I was the girl from the suburbs. We got married on July 12th, 2018, and it was the best day of my life. But 3 weeks before our 1-year anniversary, my worst nightmare happened. That morning, Brian was heading up to the mountains to meet with my dad and my uncle for a fishing trip. Around 3 p.m., I remember my father calling me saying, "Audrey, I don't want you to panic, but have you heard from Brian? He hasn't arrived yet here." And immediately I started to panic. I knew something was wrong. I called numerous times. About 30 minutes later, my father calls me and just says, "Audrey, I'm so sorry." He told me that Brian swerved to avoid an animal and he wasn't wearing a seatbelt and he died on scene. I felt like my world ended that day. I lost my best friend, my soulmate, and I became a widow at 26. It's almost been 2.5 years and I'm still mourning his loss. Dating has been super tough because I always feel like there's going to be a third person in any relationship I'm going to have. And also I feel like I just scare guys off by sharing too much too soon. I really want to find love again, but I need help with navigating the dating scene as a young widow.
Tam Fam, please welcome our guest, Audrey, in studio with me now. All right, so when we talked about launching this series, I did not imagine that I would be in this situation. And thank you for trusting us.
Oh, thank you for having me and having me on the show. This is a phenomenal time and experience.
I know it's only been 2.5 years since you lost Brian, and you're still, where would you describe where you are in the grieving process?
You know, from what I've learned, there really aren't steps in grieving. You know, they say it's like anger, denial, etc., but it comes all in a bundle for the rest of your life. You know, you'll always grieve and it'll always be like an iron ball for your soul. But with the grieving, the grief has always been there. Mm-hmm. It's just getting number, I would say, number and number, but more ways to look up to the sky and be thankful for him still being at my side and for him to still be here and show himself for sure. But
you're so resilient. I mean, I was thinking about you, and you know, when couples have been married a long time, my parents were married over 25, 30 years. Oh, wow. And I know they would say, okay, now if I pass away before you, can you get married? Or you can go on. My mother would always tell my dad, do not get married. Again, gave him very clear instructions, but he ended up passing away before her. And I remember that day my mom said, I'll never be able to meet someone like him. You and Brian were just starting out.
We were,
Your life together was just beginning.
It really was, yeah. We were married July 12th, 2018, and we were 3 weeks away from our 1-year anniversary. And so we made it, but we didn't. Yeah. And so there was just so many moments to where I'd flash back to my wedding and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm not gonna have anything like this again. Like that day was literally just perfect. And my family flew in from Japan and all over the nation, my friends and family came. And so it was just all over. It was just a very wonderful time that I've had with Brian. And, you know, I will never find anyone like him ever again.
But you're ready to, it's not moving on and moving forward. None of that is a part. Moving forward. Yeah. When did you have that internal, and I would imagine it was an internal conversation with yourself, that, you know what, I have to move forward. And that includes, I'm a young woman and dating is a part of that. Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, it took a glass of wine for me to make an account on plenty of fish. And I'm like, I'm not going to do this.
That's a dating site?
Oh, yep. It's a dating site. Sorry. And, you know, I was just like, you know, I'm not going to do this sober. Might as well have a glass or two. And somehow I created that profile, even spelled my name right. And so I somehow had that realization because it was just more of like, Brian would not want me to wallow and be in bed all day and to just, you know, remember him like sulking and just being, you know, just embracing that bitter feeling of he's gone. And, you know, I know he's always going to be there and say, I'm right here. Why are you sad? Like, you should be out there. You should go on a hike. Go walk your dogs, like, or go walk our dogs, sorry. And it just made me get up on my own 2 feet, just knowing who he was and what he would want for me, for sure.
Joining us is Nora McInerny, whose TED Talk on grief went viral. She's been a friend of the show and has shared her heartbreaking story of loss with us and how to move forward. Here's when she appeared on the show before.
So what you do when someone is experiencing grief, you show up and you keep showing up, because that person who's grieving, who feels so alone, they need to know there's someone on the other side of that door.
Well, at just 31 years old, Nora lost her husband to brain cancer, but she found love again, got married, and then they're raising their beautiful blended family together. And Nora joins us via Skype from her home in Phoenix, Arizona. Nora, thank you so much for joining again. It's so good to see you.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I just chased that beautiful blended family out of my home.
I understand. You know, I instantly thought about you when I read Audrey's story and discussed with her really how to move forward. You are resilient, and you talk a lot about grief. I did not and don't know a lot about how you were able to move forward to find love, though.
Oh, clumsily, Tamron. It's, Audrey, everything you said about needing, you know, maybe a glass of wine to make that profile. My first profile said, cool widow, kind of wants to kiss someone.
That's what it said?
No
Wait a minute. Wait, cool widow, kind of wants someone?
Kind of wants to kiss someone, because I wasn't sure exactly what I was looking for.
I should point out we have with us Rachel D'Alto. She's in studio. Rachel wrote the book Relatable, How to Connect with Anyone, Anywhere, and she's here to help out as well. Okay, I'm trying to think. So, cool widow. I don't know if that is the coolest opening line or the boldest opening line. Did you think that you were going to get some replies in return?
I knew that it would be a good filter. I knew that it would be a good filter. And so, Audrey, when I heard you say, I'm afraid it will be too much because there'll be another person in my life forever, you're absolutely correct. It will be too much for some people, and you don't want to date them anyway. You don't want to date them anyway. And Matthew, who's my current husband, you know, we knock on wood. And you know, you'll never be normal again, Audrey. Just so you know, this is life now.
Got it.
You know, Matthew was never,
Totally got it.
He was never anything but curious about Aaron. And that to me was so fascinating. We tend to think about anything bad or hard that has happened to us as baggage, and it's who we are. We're the sum of all of our experiences. So I was curious about him, all of his experiences. He was divorced. That fascinated me. I was like, someone stopped loving you. My husband just died. Your divorce sounds terrible. Wow. And he was so interested in me. And I think that's really what love is not like leaving behind these parts of you, but incorporating them. So we have this big blended family, and just off camera, I have a portrait of me and Aaron and the son we had together. I have baby pictures of Matthew's kids from before I even knew them. Love is just so much bigger than I knew it could be. Wow. And so I said, cool widow kind of wants to kiss someone. I did not find Matthew online. And, you know, I wouldn't have, because my filter was looking for guys who are taller than me, and he's 2 inches shorter. Wow. So